Calumet Township Trustee's Office. During that time, we learned a lot about things that were broken. Program, which has our agenda for the day, along with bios of all today's participants. Use that as your guide. You will also see our hot off the press newsletter, the Calumet Connection, which many of you who are residents of Calumet Township, which is Gary, and the unincorporated Calumet area, will be receiving in your mailboxes very soon. So you have an extra one now. Share it with a church member, share it with a colleague, share it with a neighbor. Great insights, great information, and great resources are in this publication. It's not a one-off in terms of its ability to be informative and useful to you. So please be mindful of the Calumet Connection newsletter, which is in your packet. You will also see a survey. We always aim to improve what we do, to ensure that what we do is useful, helpful, and interesting to you as residents. And so please fill that out throughout the day and think about what you'd like to see, what you enjoy, and leave that with one of our staff members at the table, either in this room or downstairs today. Lastly, you will also see, not lastly, because we're active and we don't just talk about it, but we are doing the work, which is today's theme, you will see in your packet the next food distribution program dates, which are November 6th, and November 20th. As many of you know, we're under a government shutdown, and there will be tremendous food insecurity within our community and communities across the country, as we'll talk about later during our Nutritious Food Access panel. And those food distribution activities take place at our Calumet Township Multipurpose Center at 1900 West 41st Avenue. Lastly, because we're all about service, we have our program assistance brochure. This lays out the different areas of service that we provide to residents, from housing assistance, utility, food support, burial assistance, etc., and the documentation that is required. Again, whether you need the services or not is not the focus. The goal is ensuring that you're an ambassador. We want you to be a friend of Calumet Township. So when you meet people at church, synagogue, mosque, in your neighborhood, in the community organizations, in the schools, who may need these resources, you know where you can direct them. To our website, to our office at 610 Connecticut Street, because we want all of you to be an extension of the work that we do every day. We're so honored that our Trustee Ty Atkins, has given us license and approval to put on events like the one we're enjoying today. Her vision is to elevate Calumet Township, and you have seen that over the course of the last, how many months has it been now? 8 months or so? Almost 9 months, where we've had a series of community activities, fora. We've recently updated our standards in many areas, and we have other exciting announcements which will be forthcoming. So I'm very proud of our trustee, of her leadership. She is going to come before you now and provide a welcome. Trustee Ty Atkins, give her a hand.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And I don't know if William introduced himself, but that is William Godwin. He is more than just a senior advisor to the Calumet Township Trustee's Office and myself. But he too is a leader within this community and is a great asset to Calumet Township. So William, thank you so much for being a part of our team. And also being, I would say, the brains and curator of this series, and which has been very impactful for the administration. So good morning and welcome to our Calumet Township Fall Symposium. As my counterpart stated, this is our two-part series for 2025, highlighting the three pillars that we are focusing on for this administration. The purpose of this symposium, it is simple, but it is urgent. To bring together parties who care deeply about the community and talk about solutions. As my counterpart said, we are doing the work, but we're doing it in concert. When entities come together and work together, not just to meet the needs, but we're really working to elevate and to build pathways for people to thrive within the community, i.e. the township. Due to the current economic climate, we've seen rising needs. You've seen it in housing, you've seen it in food access, as well as workforce support. And basic assistance is very vital to ensuring that we provide the needs to elevate our community and be there for them in their time of hardship. And that's why gatherings such as this matters. I want to be proactive in taking a moment to thank all of those partners that you will hear from today. They are a part of what we call our social safety net. And more importantly, I want to also take a proactive approach to thank all the members of the core Calumet Township team who are here today, who have been a vital piece of putting this particular program on. We work every day on the front lines to serve our residents with care, creativity, and heart, and I'm grateful for our partners and for my team and being able to lead them in that path forward. So let us use this time not only to discuss the challenges, but more importantly, to chart a path forward together. We want to welcome you here, and we enjoy to engage in the conversation, be active and open, and giving us feedback as we go along with the program. So thank you so much. William is going to come, and we are going to start the program at this time. Thank you.
All right, as I said, we have an exciting day ahead. We're going to begin our first panel, which will focus on housing, accessibility, affordability, and availability in Calumet Township. That will be Nutritious Food in Calumet Township. Both of those panels will be right where we are, here in this beautiful space. Isn't this an amazing Gary Public Library? Let's give it up for the Gary Public Library. We thank them for their partnership. We will then go downstairs at noon for our luncheon, which will be with the Indiana University Northwest Social Work Department. We'll be in conversation with them, and the remainder of our activities, to keep from going up and down, will be downstairs in the community room where many of you enjoyed breakfast. We will then close out with our career and technical education, opportunity youth and industry partnerships panel, followed by closing remarks and announcements. I do want to acknowledge a few elected officials who are here, which always gets me in trouble. I know I saw our Lake County Assessor, Spearman. Please stand up. Thank you so much. State Representative Reagan Hatcher. Many of you have driven down the newly minted Richard G. Hatcher Boulevard. Let's give it up for Richard G. Hatcher Boulevard in the city of Gary. Let me make sure I didn't. We have a few of our precinct committeemen who are here. I believe I saw Kevin Coutinho from the Edna area, Marcus Williams as well. I know I can't miss the 5th District. Carol Ann Seaton, please stand up. And you're Yvette Clark. Thank you so much for being here as well. And also with the Gary City Court. Hope I didn't miss any other elected officials. If we missed you now, we will certainly connect with you over the course of the day, and we thank you so much for being here. And again, we see you as a partner in this work. Okay. So we're going to start with our housing panel. I'm going to ask the audio team to add a microphone to the table here as I introduce our presenters. Our moderator, who you've already met, is Calumet Township trustee Ty Atkins. She has a vision of elevation that's rooted in transparency, innovation, and compassion. A lifelong resident of Gary, Indiana, she brings a decade of experience in civic leadership, economic development, and community advocacy. She and I both served together on the Gary City Council for several years. She concluded her time there as president of the Gary City Council, along with being councilperson for the 4th District. In January of this year, she was appointed Calumet Township trustee. And since that time, she has hit the ground running. She brings extensive educational background with a BS in industrial management and engineering from Purdue and MBA from Wisconsin. She's so smart, and I'm going to tease her, I'm going to get in trouble for that. She's our numbers guru. And so when we present budgets and information to her, we have to make sure we have our information together. And she received a certification in municipal finance from my alma mater, the University of Chicago. Calumet Township trustee Ty Aggins will moderate this panel and will be joined by 2 of our leading community members when it comes to housing. We want to invite to the stage Ms. Bernita Leslie. Ms. Leslie, come on up. She's the founding member and executive director of Broadway Area CDC. She is a native of Gary, Indiana, having attended Ivanhoe, Edison, and graduated from Westside High School. I'm not going to say what year. She's a graduate of Calumet College of St. Joseph, where she received a Bachelor of Science in Organizational Management. She has invested, along with her team, millions of dollars in creating new housing developments within the city of Gary. She has tremendous insight, but what's so great about her is that she's not merely in business for herself and her team, but she is training the next generation of developers in the city of Gary through her Jumpstart program, which we will hear about shortly. We also have with us Ms. Latria Reed. Give it up for Ms. Reed. She's the Director of Community Development for the city of Gary. She is also from Gary and leads efforts to strengthen neighborhoods, expand housing opportunities, and oversee federal programs that improve the quality of life for residents. I love HBCUs, as many of you may know. She's a graduate of Tuskegee University, where she majored in electrical engineering. She brings both technical expertise and a deep commitment to community. We're excited to hear from our moderator, Trustee Atkins, as well as our panelists, Ms. Bernita Leslie and Ms. Latria Reed.
Thank you again, William. Before we start, I want to say this. The purpose of the bios, too, is to let you all know that it is people that is from your city who have the credentials, the education, the professionalism to lead a multitude of different efforts. So contrary to any belief that people have said, we all, I would say, challenge the stigma that there is no talent in the city of Gary. So I want to commend both of you ladies for having such a robust bio that shows the efforts of your work within this community. And thank you for joining us this morning. So housing is more than brick and mortar. Oh yeah, give me Thank you for that. Housing is more than brick and mortar. It is the foundation of economic stability, as we all know, as well as workforce readiness and community pride. Here at Calumet Township, the challenge isn't just affordability, it's accessibility, it's quality, and it's making sure that residents can actually plant roots and build wealth where they live. We're navigating rising construction costs, and I know Ms. Bernita could talk about that, directly aligned stagnant wages, inflation, and aging housing stock all at one time. Talk about being overwhelmed with issues. Meanwhile, there are families that are struggling to keep up with rent and mortgages and have inched closer to market realities, even though incomes have not. We've worked to meet immediate needs through expanded rental and mortgage assistance, our emergency shelter resources, but meeting the moment isn't enough. We need to build a pipeline of sustainable housing opportunities, whether that is preservation, new construction, or creative, and develop partnerships that include local developers, workforce training, and neighborhood stabilization strategies. So today's conversation is about that. How do we make that pipeline stronger, smarter, and more inclusive? I would like to open up the panel with giving both of the ladies an opportunity to give us some feedback about their background and the work that they're currently doing with their respective entities, the City of Gary Community Development Department, as well as the Broadway Community Development Corporation. So I'll ask Ms. Leslie to go first.
So for many of you in the room, Broadway CDC is familiar to you. To others, we have not, and I hate to say this, but we have not done a very good job in promoting Broadway Area CDC, but we've been around for 30 years. We built the Madison Avenue Townhome, which was our first development. After about 3 years of community meetings with stakeholders in the community, along with partnerships from the business community and the city of Gary, we came up with a strategic plan that would help us to strategize what we would like to see in the Midtown area. And from that strategic plan, we did the Madison Avenue Townhomes, like I said, which 80 units of affordable housing, which had not been done in over 25 years in the city of Gary. So we're very proud of that first project. From that project came the Washington Manor subdivision, which is a single-family community. We have constructed over 28 units, housing, single-family housing dwellings, and we have about 2 left in phase 1 and 2, and we're working on phase 3. And a lot of people have asked, well, why is it taking so long? Well, when you're doing land development, you have to work with the city of Gary, unless you're a for-profit and you have the money to come in and put in the streets and the curves and the sidewalks. We work with the city of Gary to supply the funding for the streets, the curves, the sidewalks. So it takes a little bit longer. From that, we did a co-development with South Shore Commons called South Shore Commons with Edgewater, Dunning and Hughes. We co-developed that project with them. From that, we did the Northwest Indiana Veterans Village. And at this point, we're working on a project called Frable Senior Apartments for seniors 62 years and older. We hope that this project will start in 2027. We're working on the applications now, and hopefully we will have new housing for our senior community. As I have to drink some water, I was just diagnosed with something going on with my throat, but give me a second. So, partnerships in the city of Gary is very, very, very important. And over the last 30 years, we have had an excellent relationship with the city of Gary. Community development, redevelopment, and economic development. We look forward to continuing that relationship with community development and the city of Gary departments. I would like to say that this is my last year as director. I've been around since 1992, and I'm going to ask Ms. Kamisha Bell to stand, who will be taking my place as executive director. It's been a pleasure working here in the city of Gary. I've lived here all my life. I love the city of Gary. I will still be here to help any way that I can. We do need more single-family homes for sale instead of rental, for sale for our community. One of the things that Broadway CDC is focusing on is trying to make more homeowner for our communities through our programs. We just started Jumpstart, and hopefully we'll be able to talk about that a little later. But we are committed to our city and to building wealth in the city of Gary.
Thank you, Ms. Leslie. Ms. Reed?
I think she kind of summed everything up.
Okay.
But I am from Gary. I went to, of course, the West Side High School. I went on to go to Tuskegee University for electrical engineering. I know, how did I get in this position as an engineer? I was a person too that grew up in Gary and didn't know what Gary had to offer until I became an employee of the city. I started off as a project manager and then just kind of worked my way through the ropes. What I have found to be interesting is that a lot of people do not know what we do for the Department of Community Development for the city of Gary. So it's, we're trying to figure out how to get that across to everyone, not just, the people that do social media, but to everybody. Because we do offer a lot of different programs, which we will talk about, and there are for the residents to benefit from. It's not for us to just hold on. HUD has cut a lot of funding, so we're trying to do what we can with what we have. So when Bernita talked about us partnering with her, we were able at one point to do a lot of help for her and do things financially, but now it's like, we gotta, which can we do, which can't we do, because things are being cut every day, and that's no, decision of ours to make. It come from the administration. But with that, we're doing still what we can with what we have. So our focus is to be more community acclimated, find out exactly what it is that you guys need, and basically steer us in the direction of being able to better serve you guys and also partner with different agencies to give you guys what you need.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. So let's talk about it. You mentioned in your response that a lot of people do not know what the Department of Community Development does. So let me ask you a probing question. So the city is a key player in setting the stage for development, and your interaction with the Broadway CDC, and when I say your, I mean the City of Gary's Community Development Department, is respective to that. So what current programs and priorities does the City of Gary Community Development Department has? We know the Gary First program or other programs that you can speak of that are advancing to help residents produce stable housing.
So yes, we do have the Gary First program, which we're hoping to launch in January. We do have down payment assistance as well for people who want to participate in that. We also have some repair programs as well, and we're going to start doing the classes to basically train and teach you on every step of everything that you're interested in, whether that's credit building, whether that's how to buy a home, whether that's what you're supposed to expect when renting, and that is something that we will be looking for the Broadway area CDC to assist us with and other partnerships. But we just want to get the knowledge out, so it won't be no confusion of what to expect, what's going on, how we're going to do it. We can all be on the same page of what's going to happen.
So let's take this time right now. So the down payment assistance program, what is that? What is the dollar value? And how can people get more information about that?
So it's $30,000 for first responders. That will include teachers. They're going through the process now of adding teachers to the first responders. It's $18,000 for city employees, so that does include the sanitary district, and then it's $10,000 for residents. We have two different ones. We have one that go through our home program, and then we have one that we're using ARPA funds too.
Okay. And the application is still open?
Yes, on our website.
All right, thank you.
And then Wanda is here as well if anybody have any questions today.
Thank you. Ms. Reed actually talked about some of the support that the city is doing, and I would say that's more so to stabilize housing, right? So that's once the development has happened. And so, Ms. Leslie, you've been doing this work for decades. The numbers, I don't know if you talked about that in your bio, but over $40 million in development projects, and you are one of the few that I can attest to from my experience of being the president of the city council and representing the 4th district, where the majority of your work was done, that has actually done the work, right? And so, could you talk about, from your advantage point, what are some of the biggest lessons that was learned from the Broadway CDC's development work? What could we be doing differently as different organizations that could have a say-so or to support other CDCs that are in the mix or other developers that are coming to ease that process, to again support the stabilization and the current landscape within the township?
Sure. I can talk on and on about this. Let's see.
I'm looking at the clock too, so I'm gonna ask for a response, like a 2-minute response.
I'm a little older, so I can talk longer, and I'm retired. Okay, so as I look back, when we started with community development organization, and I believe Wanda was a part of that, we had quarterly meetings with the stakeholders, community development. At that time, I believe there were 4: Aetna, Broadway CDC, Glen Park, and can't think of her name, but, pardon? Yes. and we met and we talked about what we wanted to do in our community. And I believe that helped us to strategize. Every community knew what each other was doing, and we respected that. Today, we don't have that. We kind of are solo, and when you're solo, you're alone, and you're just doing something. I think that what would make a better community, a better city, is when people come together. They know that they have a meeting quarterly, and they come together, discuss what they're going to do, and they do just that. So if anything were to change, I believe that's the only thing that I would change, and make recommendation to the city in regards to us collaborating together. Did I answer?
Yeah, I think that that's just keeping it real. That's something that I think is an issue for us as a community. We work in silos, and even within the same entity, sometimes the departments are working in silos and not communicating. And so, within the year that I was a part of the previous administration, in terms of the legislative side, I do know that there was a conscious effort to try to start coming to the table. And I can speak on behalf of my team. That's something that we are definitely doing, trying to understand how we could work with our county legislators, our county commissioners, to pool resources to provide holistic solutions, right, to those areas in which we can do. And so that discussion that we just convened was more so talking about the current landscape. So we know that there's vacancies across the city. We know that we have a conscious effort to work on development. We know that the Civic City has programs in place to support developers, utilizing, I'm gonna say, home funds when you do have them, as well as CBD funds when you do have them. Putting those caveats out there, as we know is happening at the federal level. But let's talk about what happens upon the support of constituents getting properties, being inside of those properties, but then needing assistance from that point forward, right? So I'm going to say to Ms. Reed, this conversation is talking about aligning the city and the township and other developers to, again, bring holistic solutions. So we've seen a rise in calls from homeowners facing mortgage challenges in the place. I'm not sure within the development of the Washington Manor development if you have the same issue with those residents there. But the township does provide mortgage assistance, so it's something that we know that everyone is not aware of. So how might we coordinate efforts, again, to what Ms. Leslie just said, between our offices, between entities, between retailers to be more preventive in foreclosures before they happen, or preventive in being able to provide assistance before it's too late to our constituents?
So I think what she said was very informative. We do need to set like meetings so we all get on the same page about how we handle that. We do have foreclosure assistance because we have 2 HUD counselors in our office and they go through the state with their funding. So I think it's just about getting the information out, even if it is to the local departments, and basically being all on the same page, like what does the Calumet Township do and how can they assist, and what do we do and how can we assist, and basically merging it together. So if it's something that we can assist with, maybe it's something that you guys might be assist with, since the funds are coming from different areas. But I do think it's very important for us all to understand what exactly our different departments have to offer when it comes to those type of things.
Okay. So from that, I think that one thing that our team would like to do is to ensure that we work with the city and whatever entity, where it's constituent services or your department, to create what we call referral pathways. So also to, I would say, when there's an opportunity to create parallels in terms of the eligibility requirements, so that it is not as confusing between an individual who is coming to get assistance from you all and us. If there's opportunities for us to have the same standards within the township, I think that will again provide more of a viable solution, and us seeing it as like one band, one sound, for lack of a better phrase, right, across entities. And so let's mark that as something that we're going to do as we're doing the work, and take that as an action from this conversation. Ms. Leslie, I'm going to ask, and this, it might not even be an opportunity, but how could Broadway CDC be a part of that structure? This is more so after the fact, but what is it that you see that your organization can kind of do to have a footprint within that scope as well?
Because we do affordable housing, we do receive many calls and many people that come into our office looking for assistance, looking for help. This is normally one of the biggest decisions that they're going to make, and they need assistance from A to Z, how to do that. So community development does have a program that first-time home buyers must go through, and most banks require that they go through this program, especially if they're receiving subsidy. From that point on, they still need assistance with making decisions. We can have the programs, and we've had the programs, they've gone through the program and still go out and buy a car. Purchasing a house, but yet go out and buy a car. That's a no-no. So from A to Z, we need to be there, whether it's a conference call, monthly, or however it's set up, but we need to be there talking to them every step of the way to let them know these are the things that you should do to make this a successful transaction, and these are the things that you should do afterwards to maintain your home. So with that being said, whatever you would, in our discussions, you would like for us to participate with, we will do that, because we're already doing it with the people that come to us. We constantly talk to them and try to make sure that it's seamless as possible.
So there's a need to have ongoing literacy in terms of how to maintain your stability financially post acquisition of properties. There's a need for our constituents to have information to prep them to be available and ready to purchase, so on the consumption side as well. The city, you all have a financial literacy program that's starting in January 2026. Have you all worked with entities such as the CDC at this point to inform them so that they can be a part of the chain and channel to get that out to those, in fact, that would probably would be beneficial of this?
I just mentioned it to Ms. Leslie on Monday on our phone call. The city actually had some different entities that they wanted to use, and she mentioned that they did the same thing. And I think that's where the misinformation comes from, because we were not actually sure what Broadway area CDC did, so we didn't know to come and ask, like, hey, do you guys offer these classes? But now that we know that is an opportunity that we could possibly, join with them to be able to do that, so that we don't have to make everything about going out and finding people when we have them right here that can assist us.
Okay. So I'm gonna throw something in the atmosphere. My team is gonna kill me. So let's put something on the calendar. So late spring, let's say that we're gonna work together to put together a seamless financial literacy course.
Okay.
And let's say that it could be a 3-week, it doesn't have to be consecutively, but 3 different opportunities for constituents. And we can have it at the NPC at Calumet Township on 41st Avenue. That's how we can be a partner and support in any ways that we can. And if there is an avenue for us to talk about workforce training, which I know is another segment, that is an area that the township could also support in. So if we could collaborate on that, I think that might be a great path forward from that discussion.
Yeah, I think that do align with some other things that the city is preparing for. We'll have to, reach out to you and your team and discuss those things just to see if that's something that you're willing to assist with. We did discuss about when people are trying to apply for jobs, how to be able to help them get the job and keep the job. So if that's resume writing, the drug testing, the rehab programs, or whatever it is, that is something that we're trying to put together now so that we can start that at the beginning of the year as well.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask this question to both of you. I'm going to ask Ms. Leslie to go first. If you had a blank slate, what tools or partnerships would make the biggest difference in accelerating housing development within, I'm going to say, the township, to meet the local needs, if you had a blank slate? Other than money, right?
Other than money, the availability of those who have the experience to lead others. There's a wealth of information in our cities. And as I look out in this room and I see those sitting here, they have the information and they have the partnerships with other organizations that could help in providing assistance to our community. So I just think that relationships, knowledge is important. And if I had a blank slip sheet, I would bring that together and then we would brainstorm on doing whatever else we need to do. But that's so important. Our children need it to develop, because some of the people that I know from the time that I started working that's in this room, we're a little older now. So we're seasoned and we have more information that we can pass on to others. And I think that that would be what I would see.
Ms. Reed, do you have anything to take back for?
I would also say awareness, because a lot of us are not aware of what the different entities offer and what they have. So that I think that goes along with communication, so that we all can be on the same page, because if somebody call our office, we should be able to refer them to your office or to the township, but we have to have the knowledge to know what you guys do to be able to do that. So I would say that communication and awareness.
So, Ms. Reed, is there anyone within your office who is in charge of that? Who is the convener? This is a civic city. There's a lot of different entities, a part of the city. Of course, everybody goes to Ms. Wanda, but I don't want to throw me under the bus. But if that is the case, then, you know, to help facilitate that, right? So it's been repetitive in discussion, so we need a convener.
I would say between Wanda and Adrian. I know I've been giving Wanda a lot of tasks, so, but Wanda and between the two of those, Wanda and Adrian.
Okay. So we'll take an action to reach out to try to coordinate with Ms. Wanda in terms of the spring event that we talked about, and also see how we could work, I guess, in cohesion to learn what everybody is doing, right? And to make sure that if there is one way to share that information, we're utilizing Charity Tracker, but something of that sort will be the right tool. I'm going to ask this question as we're talking about housing revitalization, neighborhood stabilization. Is there a correlation between workforce development and those initiatives? And if so, could either of you talk a little more about that?
We just work with them with our youth program over the summer, was their work program for the youth to be employed. I do think that we will be doing things with them in the near future. They're going to do some training for us, as well as some jobs and trainings for the older people or seasoned people, to get them back into the workforce, because some of them are looking to do things besides sitting at home. We do have different things that we're planning for with them. They do the Think Big program too. We just had some people to graduate with that, and they actually, some of them became employees. So we are working with them to align our vision with their vision, and they've been great so far to work with.
Ms. Leslie, do you? Okay. I'm going to open the floor for any questions for any of our panelists, or any questions from the audience related to housing.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah. Ms. Caroline?
Yeah.
Ms. Caroline, can you go to the mic for us, please? I know, but we're also recording, and just want to make sure that we pick up the audio on the recording as well.
My question from Ms. Reed, have you worked with Consumer Credit Counseling? Because they do a lot of the what you were talking about, from first-time home buyers, financial literacy and things.
Yes, they will be assisting us too in January.
Any other questions from the audience? No pressure. Okay.
Let me ask what I'm gonna.
William Godwin.
What are you seeing in terms of the cost of construction combined with high interest rates, and how that's affecting the ability for people to purchase homes in the city of Gary? And my second question is, can you describe an example of where Broadway CDC and the City of Gary Community Development work together to
to actually produce affordable housing in the city?
So yes, when we first started the Washington Manor subdivision, we received, or the homeowners received, I believe, $35,000 in subsidy to write down the cost of their homes. We also received funding from IHCDA, Indiana Housing Community Development Corporation, out of out of Indianapolis, to also help write down the construction of the homes. At that time, I believe we were at about $100 to $95, maybe to $110 a square foot. Today, it's unbelievable, but we're about $190 to $230, $40 a square foot, which makes it very impossible to do affordable housing if you're not getting enough subsidy from the city of Gary, whose funds have been cut, or from banks who go after the federal home loan dollar. They give money as well. So there are other organizations or banks that are looking to do first-time home buyers program and help with the affordability of the homes, but before we could take a $35,000 salary family and build a home for. Here lately, it's 50, 60 and above, which leaves out those who work hard at 30, 40,000. We would keep them renters. And most of them have families and would love to have a home for their children. So we're gonna have to try to figure out a way to make it more affordable. And I would like to say, we need to start looking at the fact that Gary is going to have an influx of jobs coming in. And with that, we need to take advantage of home ownership here in the city of Gary, providing new housing, sustainable housing for those who will be coming to live in the city of Gary.
Thank you, Ms. Leslie. I am going to take this time, since we didn't have any questions from the audience, to, I guess, deliver. Oh, you have a question, sir, or a comment? Come on down. Okay.
I have a question. You mentioned jobs and workforce development. Is there any attention or notice to like the new collar economy or mid-tech jobs? I know they're building 56 data centers around the country, solar farms, wind farms, maintenance, all the things that go into that are kind of part of this new collar mid-tech economy that people are moving into. I don't know if our area was kind of paying attention to that and helping to move our workforce that way.
That's something our economic development department is working on. They are working on building, collaborating with some people that are coming here with a data center. I don't have any more information on that. Besides that, you have to reach out to the economic development department.
Thank you for the question. There was another question from the audience. If you all can talk about an example of when the city and Broadway CDC has actually worked together on a project, that would be great takeaway for the audience.
All of the developments that I mentioned must get the approval from the city of Gary. So Madison Avenue Townhomes received the approval through the CDBG and Home program. That was about $1 million from the city. Washington Manor subdivision, the Northwest Indiana Veterans Village, and future. So we're anticipating the senior project, and so we will be coming to you for CDBG and home dollars. So all projects that are affordable usually have the assistance of the city of Gary and the participation with the city of Gary. through funding, and sometimes through other partnerships, they will recommend social service providers to us as well.
Very good. I'm gonna make this comment and I'm gonna mind the business of township again. The majority of the projects that Broadway CDC, I believe, has done are in fact in TIF districts within the city as well. And so there should be opportunities for TIF funds to be utilized on the infrastructure portion of some of the future developments that are still within the respective consolidated area TIF, Madison Avenue TIF, to name a few, right? And so I'm going to put that out there. There's an opportunity to work within the redevelopment department as well as community development on future initiatives.
Can you explain, when you say CDBG and home, what that means for the layperson? And I think you all recently had a transaction in December of 2024 that used the city's new down payment assistance program. Talk about how those came together.
Okay.
The acronyms?
Home, well, we have that home expert here,
It's HUD
Wanda
funding.
Pettigrew. Home dollars come through the city of Gary, but they receive them through IHCDA, if I'm not mistaken. Through HUD, okay. It's an application process every year. And if you have a project, or if you have, CDBG, I guess, is for programs and streets, curbs, sidewalks, if I'm not mistaken. So, we always ask for both, CDBG and home. CDBG is Community Block Grant.
Community development block grants.
Block grant. And so we have, every year, we ask for those funds because we're normally doing a project. Or we need some infrastructure done.
Yeah.
Does that answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
Wanda Pettigrew,
Ms. Wanda.
again.
Raise your hand, Ms. Wanda, as we're throwing you under the bus and shouting you out. Has been a great civic servant for the
Yes.
city of Gary, very knowledgeable about the HUD process, community development, and we're blessed to have you a part of the city's administration. And so too, I'll just add, is eligible activities that CDBG funding could be utilized for. As crazy, I did not do this on purpose, but this is actually the CFAR Part 574 CDBG that I got in here. I don't know why it's in here. But yeah, I told you, my civic city duties, was trying to learn so that I could support those developers within our district with knowledge and tools to be able to come to the table and be ready to provide input in terms of what we knew was available, right, based on those standards. And so we're looking forward to seeing those projects come to fruition. So I think time is of essence right now. Godwin says no, but I say yes. So I'm going to provide some information. So the Calumet Township office provides rental and mortgage assistance to those individuals who are experiencing hardship. We do have eligibility requirements, but more recently we have realigned our requirements from an income standpoint as well as the dollar amount by utilizing the U.S. Department of Housing, Urban Development, so the HUD figures. And what that does is two things. One, it helps us be able to get more benefits out the door. And two, it helps more residents be eligible. So we have increased the limit of income that an individual can make from, depending on your total household count, to be eligible. So for example, on top of my head, I'm looking at Kim Backus. I believe it used to be for a household of one, was it 1048? 1041, so $1,041 was the limit that you can bring in on a monthly basis to be eligible for our services. And now we have increased that to $1,565 for the upper limit that an individual could bring in on a monthly basis, which allows, again, more people within our constituency to be eligible. In addition to that, we do have those one-off situations. So you might have lost your job. I've always articulated there's individuals who are making six figures, right? But the government is furloughed right now, right? And not able to put and make those mortgage assistance. The trustee, so me in this case, I do have the ability to waive, in certain cases, those particular requirements. And so my office is an office of compassion. We lead with empathy. And so we ask individuals who are in those particular instances to please come and talk to us, because we do have the dollars to be able to support the need of this community. And that's something that I want to communicate to these two ladies as we talk about being able to know what is available with the different entities and be able to work together to communicate the value and the programs that each other have. You now know that about the Calumet Township office. So that is for rental assistance as well as mortgage. It's not one or the other. Our dollar amount in terms of the amount that we will give out for rental has changed. And again, it is now aligned with the is it the HUD requirements as well? With the HUD requirements as well. And so we actually just looked at the amount of bedrooms that the domain has. And so the dollar value is directly aligned with that. So it's no guesswork. We talk about transparency of government. That it was an initiative for us to do, to align again with another entity so that it can be a one-fit-size-all, not depending on what entity that you go, so that you can know that you are eligible or not. And so I'm asking you all to be ambassadors of that, to let the community know that we do have resources available in the housing space to support their needs, especially as we know the economic climate is the word that I'm going to use that we're currently dealing with. Lastly, I'm also going to state this as well in terms of how the township could better fit into the space of housing. Housing is not something that we do in terms of the development of housing, but we are there to support in the event, I'm going to say post-haste, right, in the need, correct? And so I would say this, it is my vision that we work on meeting residents where they are, that we are implementing ways to communicate again the resources that all entities within the township has to support this particular topic, which is housing. That's something that my team and my office could do, be a convener. So when I talk to you about who's the contact at your office, we have a contact in our office in community engagement that they can work in tandem to bring in entities like the CDC and get this communication out into our constituency base. I also think that something that we can do is we can co-host housing resource fairs. So there is an opportunity for us to leverage the power that we have together to bring people out so they can learn about the units that are still available with the CDC, the upcoming senior housing development that we know that we're going to have, Linden House when they do have vacancies, when Madison Town Homes have vacancies, right? A lot of people say, well, I don't know even how to find that out. So we could work together to host a housing fair with the city and the various CDCs around to be able to provide that solution. I talked about joint housing communications, so bringing in the housing authority as well as us. We have done, as William said, the Calumet connection is hot off the press. And so we have a tool that is going into all the households within the township that we can put that information into our tool to help get it out within our constituency base. And also just making sure that we work together to build trust. I think that constituents, they look at us as, not you, you're the soft nonprofit, but they say, this job someone told me at our meeting last week, oh, this is political, I don't get involved in political. After the campaign, there is no politics in this role that I'm sitting in. This is about the work of the people every day. I don't even think about that. This position in the township and every trustee within the 1,008 townships that we have in the great state of Indiana, their role is social service. When you look at the state statute related to townships, it is under the social service portion for the state statute of the great state of Indiana. And so I look at that, right? What do my people need today? Within the law, what could I do to service that? Who could I connect with? Who can my team connect with? And so that is what we're looking to do in this space. Again, that's not a direct parallel in terms of something that we do. We don't do development, but we do support on the onset that there's a need after a person gets into that housing. And so I welcome ways that the members of this particular audience think of ways that we can partner. If there's other entities that you think that we should bring to the table, I want to shout out Tyrone Span, I see him, who has already started this type of work within his particular network, and we are a part of that table as well. And so we would like to have a more robust solution. And so I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you, and I thank both of you ladies for engaging in a great conversation with us. And this is to be continued, so bye for now. And we'll look forward to having a mind mapping session for those events. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to our trustee, as well as both of our panelists. I was trying to nudge them to talk about a transaction they did in December, as recently as last December, where the city's recently adopted, I think I was still on the council when we passed that home down payment assistance program, which is tremendous. $30,000 for down payment assistance, given the average cost of our homes, is a tremendous benefit to residents. It's not only for city employees and public safety officials, there's also one for residents. And that amount in terms of your income can be up to $105,000, which is substantial, given that most of the median incomes in our neighborhoods flow in that $30,000 range, right? So let's keep that in mind. I do know that Ms. Tiara Williams, the Director of Constituent Services for the city, can you stand? I think she's here. Please stand. So, give her a hand. The mayor wanted to make sure that she was here, Mayor Melton.
And let me address that. So yes, we did receive funding from the city of Gary to write down the cost of 2 homes that we just built in the Washington Manor subdivision. One young lady, I'm so very proud of her, she graduated from IUN, and on the day of her graduation, she came in with her hat and her gown on and put down her down payment assistance, and we're building her house now. That would not have been possible without the city of Gary's down payment assistance fund. Then we had a teacher that we built a home for right here in Gary. She works here in Gary. So the funds do help tremendously. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. I wanted to make sure that got out there, because a lot of times we do a lot of talking. People want to know what's real, right? And so that started with the American Rescue Plan. How we were going to use those dollars. It expanded into this tremendous down payment assistance program. Again, $105,000 of income to be able to buy a home in our community. And we see examples, right? And so we want to increase that. We want to expand awareness about it, because I know that the city wants to get more residents to use this program, to buy homes within the city. I also know there's the Gary First program, which is beginning in Emerson, where there will be new home construction happening in the Emerson area. And they're going to go from one neighborhood to the next across the city. So action is taking place. And we applaud both of our panelists for the work that they've done for many years, and we applaud our trustee. As she mentioned, one of our action updates since the last symposium was to increase the income eligibility standards. So we all know that $1,000 a month is not what it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And so we raised those to over $1,500 for one individual, and then it goes up as the size of your household increases. So we recognize inflation is real, and we want as many people as possible to be eligible to receive assistance from our office. Similarly with the rental income rates, we know rent is not what it was before the pandemic, right? It's not what it was 2 years ago. So when folks come to our office, we want to ensure that we're not talking about $500 a month and $600 a month. We know that everybody's paying 4 figures, even for a studio, right? Or 1 bedroom and on up within our community. So we have been responsive to that reality, and we'll continue to track it, right? Which is why we're now aligned with the HUD guidelines, the zip code analysis, neighborhood-based rental amounts. So let's give it up again for our housing panel. I want to make a correction. It's Yvette Thomas. As soon as I sat down, I said, why did I call her Yvette? I'm confusing you with Miss Bernice Clark. So Yvette Thomas, I truly apologize for that. I also saw Mr. Anthony Manuel, who is a 3rd District Precinct Committeeman and the current chair of the Gary Economic Development Corporation. Stand up, Mr. Manuel. Thank you for being here. as well. All right, so we're going to flow into our food panel. So if our panelists could come forward, we have today Mr. Victor Garcia, President and CEO of the Food Bank of Northwest Indiana. We have Ms. Frida Graves, who is the Director of Food is Medicine with Faith CDC. And we have Dr. Janet Seabrook, who is the Executive Director of Community Health Net, and also she is the Gary Health Commissioner, City of Gary Health Commissioner. Let's give it up for all three. So as they are seated, we have two vehicles that will need to move, a Jeep Cherokee, license plate 104682, and a two-door Nissan Altima CFQ 545. So we may need to find a new parking place. Don't leave us, just find a better parking place. We are quite on time. Before we begin with our food access panel, I wanted to have Ms. Kim Backus, who was referenced earlier, to say a little bit more about what we do in terms of mortgage assistance and rental assistance. She's going to talk briefly, but she is the lady. Again, the events that we do are very meaningful and important, but at the end of the day, it's the people who come into our office who are served by our case management team that make the difference, right? That fulfill our statutory obligation and our commitment to the city of Gary as well as our unincorporated area. So I wanted Kim, our Director of Case Management, to come and talk a little bit more about what we do in terms of housing assistance as we transition to our food panel.
Hi everyone, how are you all today? Thank you for coming. I want to really give an awesome, amazing shout out to the trustee for bringing the vision to life and hearing the residents of the need that is needed to help them to prevent homelessness and everything above that where food is scarce. So what I do in my office, I do the mortgages. With the mortgages, we have families that have come in that are in need. We try to help them to prevent foreclosure. If they are at that 3-month mark of becoming into foreclosure, I try to work with the lenders to try to see if it's something that they can do to at least put one of those months on the back end. But if not, I will go in and I would ask for, see if we can help with those 3 months of mortgage if they have lost employment. As we know right now, jobs are becoming kind of scarce, but it is coming back up. So I work with the mortgage companies closely. When the families come in, they do have to give a letter giving me authorization to speak with the mortgage companies. So I have had a lot of my mortgages have been a good turnover trying to keep them from being foreclosed. I have worked with community development. Can't think of her name right now. She's Ms. Reed. I don't think I spoke to Ms. Reed, but they had funding, and I've been trying to reach other programs that could help me to help the families when they owe more than 3 months. So if there's some agencies out there that you all know of that could help me with the families, it would be very appreciated. We also help with rental assistance, what Mr. Godwin was speaking on. With rent, as we know, has really increased. The guidelines has went up, so hopefully people will be more eligible. We also have joined with Charity Tracker, which is amazing because it is a referral base, whatever we probably cannot assist with. Different other agencies may be able to assist the clients with things that we cannot. Also, we have also joined with Indiana Career Connect with the clients, having them register for possible classes and employment opportunities that are out there. So we are doing the work and we are collaborating with other programs to help families to keep pushing through. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Backus, for that overview as well as the work that you and your team do every day. Ensuring sustainable local access to nutritious food in Calumet Township. We have an amazing panel before you of folks who know a lot about nutrition, a lot about food, and a lot about health. And they are all in their own way doing the work. Mr. Victor Garcia is the president and CEO of the Food Bank of Northwest Indiana. The food bank provides logistical support and food to over 130 pantries, congregate meal sites, soup kitchens, and community organizations, while also delivering direct service programs focused on reducing food insecurity, increasing self-sufficiency, and impacting the social determinants of health. A lifelong resident of Northwest Indiana, Victor has a passion for bringing meaningful change to the community and has served on several boards of local nonprofit organizations. He is currently serving a second term as a board member for the school town of Highland. He is a certified fundraising executive and holds a Bachelor of Science in Organizational Leadership and a Master of Science in Management. Victor and his wife Monica live in Highland, Indiana, and with their 2 children and 3 dogs, all right? We also have Miss Frida Graves, energy personified. She is all over, we all know Miss Frida, and we're so happy to have you. She is the director of the Foodist Medicine Program, which you'll hear more about, part of Faith CDC. And you'll hear that we do have sheep, and we have goats, and not sheep, goats and chicken, and all kinds of farming activity you wouldn't necessarily expect in an urban community. But if you haven't visited that farm, trust me, by the time you get through with Miss Rita, you'll be inspired to visit Faith Farms, which actually is less than a mile away from our township office. We took our summer interns there this past summer, and they were thrilled to get to spend a little time at Faith Farms. Give it up for Ms. Frida Graves. We also have Dr. Janet Seabrook, Executive Director of Community Health Net and the City of Gary's Health Commissioner. A graduate of Roosevelt High School, Seabrook earned her Bachelor of Science degree. We got another Tuskegee person in biology from Tuskegee University, and her degree in medicine from the Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee. She completed her residency at Methodist Hospital in Gary and is a family medicine physician. She has been a true advocate for health, for equity in health, and we are so honored to have her as part of our panel today. Her husband is also a physician who is in private practice. They are the parents to a son and a daughter. Without further ado, we're going to begin our panel. Let's give it up for them. Let me ask each of you, in your own capacity, what defines your work? What worries you at night? What gets you passionate about getting up and doing the work that you do every day? We'll start with you, Dr. Seabrook, and work our way across.
So thank you for that question. What keeps me up at night is the work that we do at the health center and trying to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our patients. It is very challenging when there are so many things going on with the patient outside of their health that is a barrier to them accessing health care. So that's what keeps me up at night. How can we, provide the needs like food insecurity, housing challenges, sometimes it's even school uniforms. And we have, guardianship, grandparents, a lot of grandparents that are taking care of children. So those are the things that keep me up at night. How can we, take care of patients that have so many other unmet needs? And so what we try to do is partner and work with other entities that are in the same world that could assist our patients with those other challenges that they face outside of their health care.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and thank you for having me today. First and foremost, in my mission and vision that I work in, my mission and vision is from God. I'm working in a mission and vision that He planted in my heart, so I give all the glory to God. What keeps me up at night is, am I doing everything I can to help with the food insecurity and the health disparities? Not just giving away boxes of food and the produce and all, and working with physicians, alongside physicians. Am I also educating so we can take our health back? So in 10 years, when a young person goes to the doctor and they say, what is your family history? Well, I don't have much of a family history of hypertension or diabetes, all the things that are going on in our nation today, particularly in our BIPOC community. What keeps me up at night is the people that drive up in the car and ask me, do we have any food? Do we have even lettuce and tomatoes that they can take home? They don't even have any place to cook it. Are we doing everything we can to assist our community, not only to educate, but to also regrow our community and help people be able just to eat, to be able to have good, healthy food?
Thank you.
So I just want to echo what my colleagues are saying. And it's what defines the food bank. We don't see ourselves as a charitable food organization. We see ourselves as a public health organization. We can't have a healthy community if we don't have proper nutrition. And the old days of what the food bank provided and what our partner agencies, those pantries and soup kitchens had, let's be honest, in the old days, that wasn't always the best food. That wasn't nutrition, it was calories. There's a difference between calories and nutrition. And so as we work at the food bank, our focus is how do we bring more nutrition to the community? How do we make sure that people have access to that nutrition? And in terms of what keeps me up at night, I'm really proud of our team. We have grown significantly. We've done amazing work. We're on schedule for this year to put out the most amount of food in our organization's history. We're going to put out between 10 and 11 million pounds of food. 10 and 11 million pounds of food. But here's the sad thing. In 2019, the need for Lake and Porter counties was 17 million. We aren't going to meet the need in a record year, the need in 2019, let alone the need now, after COVID, with inflationary pressures, with our utility bills skyrocketing, with all the other challenges that we're seeing that we know our friends and neighbors in Northwest Indiana are struggling to get by. We weren't meeting the need before all of that. That's what's keeping me up at night.
Wow. Thank you all. Did want to note, plug for Calumet Township. Last summer, we provided uniforms to over 2,000 children within our township, an investment of over $500,000. And so that has been a commitment that our trustee maintained. Let's give that a hand to help with ensuring that our children have the resources, right, as basic as uniforms to be in school. I always like to explain acronyms. Ms. Frida said BIPOC, or that's Black, Indigenous, People of Color, right? So when we talk about the social determinants of health, we know there's particular effects, right, that communities of color face. You had mentioned when we talked the other day, Mr. Garcia, comparing the amount of pounds of food that were provided during the height of the pandemic to what you're scaled to do this year. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, sure. So as I just mentioned, we're on schedule to hit between 10 and 11 million pounds for this year. The record of the organization was 10.7 million pounds, and that was in 2020. And if you remember, in 2020, there was the coronavirus food assistance program. There was all kinds of extra government support that doesn't exist anymore. And let me just also add that we've experienced at our food bank, which indirectly impacts all of our food pantries and soup kitchens that we support, a significant decrease in USDA-funded food as there's been shifts in administrative priorities. Can we just say that? So we've lost about $700,000 worth of food purchases through USDA that would have gone through the food bank. Those are nutrient-dense products. When we think about the best quality products, we're talking about the Emergency Food Assistance Program and those USDA programs. Those are lean proteins, fresh produce, even on the shelf-stable product. That's the low-sodium, low-sugar product. These are the best things that we can provide our community. And those are the types of orders that have been canceled from our food bank recently.
Thank you. Ms. Frida does a lot of work with the Food is Medicine program, and I want to sort of create a conversation between you and Dr. Seabrook when we talk about nutritious food. And Ms. Frida makes a particular distinction about sort of food boxes versus nutritious food boxes. Can you say more about that, as well as the culturally relevant meals? Tell us about how your program works, and then I want Dr. Seabrook to kind of give her opinion about things as a physician.
Absolutely, and I am proud to say that part of the food that went to the food bank, about 20,000 pounds came from local farmers, Faith Farm and local farmers. And we were able to supply to the food bank just by growing locally. So the Food is Medicine program is very distinctive in the way we do it. They have Food is Medicine programs all over the state of Indiana. Some of them give vouchers when they go to grocery stores. Some of them do work with particular hospitals. Our program works with all physicians. It's kind of like, we call it a produce Walgreens. That's the way we say it. On the food is medicine program, the boxes are, I want to do a distinction between a medically tailored box, a food is medicine box, and a food insecurity box. A food insecurity box is in a state of emergencies. There's an emergency. We just need to get a box of food to this person or this family. So they might have some processed foods in there, and they might have some vegetables in there, but we're getting them something they just have in their house. And Dr. Seabrook made this point the other night, and it stuck with me. The food is medicine box is the vegetables and fruits that go inside of there, and the people with the recipes, the live cooking demonstrations, and people are able to do their recipes on a low cholesterol, low sodium way, and nutrition classes once a month. The medically tailored box is a little bit different. That's where we work with the physicians. We have referrals that come in, and it's totally free to the participant. But some of the physicians will say not only do they have diabetes, they also have a renal diet. So in that box, we can't put potatoes, tomatoes, bananas, and all these kind of, we can't keep potassium things out of there. And that's how those distinctions are. That's what we do more so on the food is medicine portion, that we make sure that they're tailored to whatever the physician says. They say they can't have green leafy vegetables because they're on blood thinners. We're tailoring that box. And that's kind of hard because people love greens. But we have to take those greens out of there. We have to take that spinach out of there because the doctor said they're on a blood thinner. We don't want to make it. We try to work alongside physicians. We're not trying to make it any worse. Our medically tailored cultured meals, culturally relevant medically tailored meals are tailored with the low cholesterol, low sodium, low carb meals, but we're still getting we're still getting our greens and our things like that we like to eat. The different cultures like to eat. We have a certified chef that came from the hospital, so he's able to medically tailor everything with the spices instead of putting the nitrates and everything from the smoked turkey. He'll do fresh turkey and things of that nature. And I'm very proud to say, and we just had a documentary come out, Dr. Seabrook was in there. And the results are people that lost 100 pounds, people that lost 50 pounds, people taking off their medication, and I'm talking about all physicians. With not just Community Health Net, Methodist Hospital, Oak Street, Merriam Health, Edgewater, all physicians. People are seeing results just by eating differently and getting at nutrition education. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Seabrook.
Do you see how infectious she is?
I mean, how can you not? I can't help it. It's heartfelt.
I mean, this was, because we had a phone call a couple of days ago, and the energy was coming through the phone as she was talking. So what we did at Community Health Net was the first thing I had Ms. Frida do after she explained the program to me. I put her in front of all of our physicians. So we got on a virtual call.
She put me on the hot seat.
And she explained the program, because you want to know if you're writing a prescription, where is this prescription really going? And so Ms. Frida put together a prescription pad and she dropped them off and we spread it out to all of our offices. And then based on that patient's medical diagnosis, boxes were created that were tailored specifically to their health diagnosis, their chronic disease. And when the providers would run out of prescription pads, say, well, I'm like, call Miss Rita, why are you calling me? But that's how excited they were to have the program, knowing that their patient, that they're taking care of their diabetes and hypertension, and sometimes having challenges explaining to the patient why they need to change their diet or tailor their diet, and here was the information in the box ready to go for them.
It's excellent. Can you talk more about culturally relevant food, right? Because we all know what the healthy food, right, sometimes tastes like, and that's an impediment for many people, right? They want the greasy, salty, sugary, all those things, right, that make food attractive. How are you sort of designing the meals, educating your participants to get them to stay on track with the program? How many weeks is it, and how do they report their progress?
Each participant is on the program for 6 months. So that's 6 months of meals, 6 months of them being able to save money, 6 months of them being able to put money back into their bills and food and things like that. The chef tailors the program, depends on the diagnosis. If it's a diabetes, 1800 cal ADA diet, or if it's a 2-gram sodium diet. By me being a retired nurse and the chef being from the hospital, we're able to read these. And plus, we have our nurse practitioner. Our nurse practitioner, Shanae Watkins, is wonderful. She, about her education, she breaks down for the diabetes, she breaks down for the coronary artery disease, she just breaks down the regular diet, how to read labels, how to do all these kind of things. As far as the cultural development, we know what we like. Different cultures like different things. We're more apt to eat those. You know, we do healthy soul food, if you want to call it. The chicken is oven baked, but it tastes so good, people just rave over it when we have it at different programs. So we have different things that we like. He also does Asian food and different kind of things, but he makes sure that he's using fresh spices. And lots of things come from the farm. I gotta tell you, we have a big spice selection out there. He's using fresh herbs and spices in his meals to make them still have the taste that you need, but not have the cholesterol or sodium in the carbs.
Thank you. Our physician, can you say more about, and you have 9 clinics, I believe, now
Yes,
across
yes.
Northwest Indiana.
Yes.
How you are sort of encouraging your patients to sort of adopt a healthier lifestyle.
So prior to the Food is Medicine program, one of the things that I did was create a recipe book for our patients to purchase. It's on Amazon. Just look up my name, Dr. Janet Seabrook, and you'll see it. But we had giveaways, we did cooking demos, and really trying to get patients motivated about better taking care of themselves. So I think that we try to, in the time that we have in the examination room, you try to put together as many things as you can, but it's challenging when you have patients with multiple diagnoses. So when you have the opportunity to partner with the food bank, as we've partnered with them for many years, along with Ms. Frida and Faith Farms, when you get those type of partnerships, that helps actually to expand the patient's education and knowledge about, because if they have more resources that they can now depend upon.
Thank you. Let me ask a question and we'll start. I don't want you to start feeling lonely over here. We'll start with you, Mr. Garcia, and go down the table. What are key barriers, right, that affect nutritious food access in our community, in Gary, in Calumet Township, in Northwest Indiana? We know that there's so many factors that go into play. We hear a lot of talk about food deserts, right, in the community. Break that down for us. What are the barriers that you individually see within your organizations that affect our ability to spread nutritious health?
Yeah, I think you just hit it right on the head. The first piece being the food deserts, and having, what does that mean, right? Having access to nutrient-dense foods. That there's a difference there, right? There's a difference between access to food and access to nutrient-dense foods. And that's where we're talking a lot about, especially on the food as medicine side. This is not rocket science. We've all known this, that if you eat a healthy diet, you're going to be a healthier person, right? Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't every once in a while have the occasional donut, right? It's just how often are you eating the donut? The difference is when all you have access to is those prepared foods that have all the nitrates, they have all of the shelf stabilizers on there, that they're just super high in fat. Look, there's not a surprise on why all of our snack foods use high fructose corn syrup or use their corn product, right? Does anybody know why that is such a popular product? The reason is it's cheap. Why is it cheap? Corn is subsidized by the Farm Bill through the USDA, and so it's a cheap product to create. That's why it's been pushed into so many things. It's very important to the state of Indiana, but for our health, maybe we need to look at the system a little bit differently. Now, I'll also say that transportation barriers are also a reason why we see the challenges that we see in our community, right? We know, listen, give it up for Gary Public Transit. They are killing it out there as best as they can. They're like the only public transit we have in Northwest Indiana, but that still isn't enough. It still isn't enough. And being able to have access is why partnerships like what you see at the table here, we're talking, Dr. Seabrook's talking about that limited time in the exam room to basically be a social worker and a physician, right? And so when you have partnerships that we can bring programs together and meet our neighbors where they already are, it mitigates some of these challenges.
Thank you. Ms. Reed.
Yes, of course, as Victor mentioned, one of the barriers is transportation. We have something we call hunger vital signs when we do our pre-surveys. And we're asking questions like, do you ever have to skip your meals? Do you ever have to skip paying for your meals to pay for medication and things along that nature? And one of the things that came from the GusNet, which is a federal grant we have. But one of the things I asked to have added on was access. Access to, are you able, do you shop inside of the area? Are you able to get to a grocery store? Do you shop at the gas stations and the convenience stores and things like to be able to get food in your house? So accessibility is a big one. A big one. It's getting a little bit better, and I support the local grocery stores, nothing against the local grocery stores, but some of the things that they have in there are not up to par, and I think that our local grocery stores need to just do a little bit better about having more, and I understand it's expensive to grow it too, but we have to be able to come together and get these things in our grocery store. That's one of the things, one of the barriers I saw. Was some of the people, and then some of the people, even when we were doing the hunger vital signs, some of the people, you know, a little bit of pride in it. They don't want to answer some of these questions. So I had to explain it to them in a way that we're just trying to gather data so we can get some more things in our area, some more more accessible food in our area. The second barrier I first ran into was, thank goodness for Dr. Seabrook, the physicians. They're like, wait a minute, are you trying to take my patient from community health now and give them to Oak Street Health and give them to Methodist? No, we have to let the physicians know that we're like a Walgreens. Think of us like a Walgreens. We're working with all physicians. But once we got past that point, and I was running doctor's offices and visiting and talking to these doctor's offices, they were opened up and we got more participants in the program.
Thank you.
You know, I'll share with you on the call that we utilize a tool called Prepare at our health center. And that tool is a tool that, a resource for social determinants of health. And it makes us aware. It asks those same questions that Ms. Frida alluded to. You know, what are your barriers to accessing health care? Are you food insecure? Are you in a domestic violence situation? Are you safe? So we ask those questions, you know, when was your last meal? Have you ever missed meals? Those same type of questions. So it helps us better take care of the patient when they're in the exam room, when we're more knowledgeable about the barriers and challenges that they're facing as they attempt to access health care.
A few of you talked about transportation, both on our pre-call that we had a few days ago and then here today. Can you double down more on what that means and how that could be fixed, right? What types of solutions can you see? We know that GPTC is limited, right? It has certain routes, but our community is 52 square miles, right? And that's just the city of Gary. We, of course, represent the unincorporated area as well. And we know that, as you alluded to, a lot of our grocery stores are making improvements, but they're not necessarily, let's be honest, where a lot of the folks in this room buy their groceries, right? And so we also know that a lot of the physicians' offices are not necessarily convenient, especially with specialties that folks need to get to their appointments, et cetera. Can you say more about when you talk to folks and they explain their transportation issues, what are you hearing in that regard? And I know, Mr. Garcia, we know when you all are having your give-outs because all down Broadway and across 61st, the cars are lined up. So tell us more about transportation.
Yeah, thanks for highlighting our mobile distribution. By the way, that's 3 Saturdays a month and 1 Friday a month. So if you have a friend or family member in need, they can text the word MARKET to 219-500-6464 and they'll be notified where our mobile distribution will be that day. That is our solution to that challenge, is our mobile market distribution. So to mitigate, we can't fix the transportation barrier, but to mitigate the transportation barrier, we have invested in enhanced mobile distributions. And what that means is we have a refrigerated truck going out 5 days a week to somewhere in our service area so that we can bring food closer to our neighbors. Doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be right out their front door. Having said that, we do have home delivered programming. So we serve 2,000 seniors every month with home-delivered, nutrient-dense products. But that is the only way we can fix this. Look, at the end of the day, how do we fix all these problems? We fix it with money, right? And I will always say this, all of the challenges that our community is facing, this is a policy choice. We have enough resources, we have enough food in this country that no person, child, senior, individual with special needs, no one should go hungry in this country. It's a policy choice that people are going to bed hungry.
Thank you.
That is so true. So on our end, we do have delivery as well. We have a limited delivery service. We also made it so it's like, once the person goes into the system, we don't use unique identifier code. So anybody can come pick up their box. They can send their nephew, their cousin, their child to pick up their box. We want to make it easier for people. As far as the Gary Public Transportation, they're doing a bang up job. But some of the people cannot even walk and get on the bus. So that, I've had times when, before we started the Food is Medicine program, but I've gone to different apartments and delivered food to people because they're not able to get there. So we're doing what we can on the ground, but as Victor said, it's all of us coming together and pushing it downstate. And that's part of what that documentary is about too. We have a petition going out to get this statewide. It's starting from this little footprint that we're making and taking it downstate and working on some legislative things to get this in the legislation. Good.
Thank you.
One of the things that we utilize is the Lyft for our patients that have physical challenges getting to the bus stop and things like that. However, we encountered some challenges with Lyft drivers not being willing to get out of the vehicle to assist the patient. We have a couple of visually challenged patients that have missed appointments because they weren't aware that the Lyft was out there, and after a certain amount of time, the Lyft would leave. So we worked very diligently writing for a grant to get a van that is a 10-passenger van, and it also holds 2 wheelchairs, and it has a wheelchair lift. We're trying to get it operational in 2026. The challenge has been finding a bus driver. We've had challenges finding and keeping a bus driver. And it's hard to find people that don't have points on their license as well. And so just really trying to look at, ways that we can make it a little bit more convenient to our patients. And we won't be able to take people to 9 different locations. We'll have to strategize and figure out what that looks like on a Monday through Friday, getting patients to the various offices. But that's one of the things that we're working on right now.
And I think one challenge you have was that people were moving to a certain healthcare provider in the city because of some of the perks that they were.
Yeah, when you have a medical provider that has units, vehicles, and they're able to conveniently pick some, patients up and bring them to that location, particularly for seniors. It's a social event. You're there and in the waiting room and you're waiting to be seen. So you're having fun. You're playing checkers. You might be dancing, different things. So when you have, medical providers that do have accessible transportation, sometimes patients, will leave their long-term provider to go just for the convenience of being able to be picked up at their door and brought back home to their door when the activities are over.
And why do we want to keep patients with their long-term provider?
Because we love them. No, I think that when someone, if I'm taking care of a patient and I've known them for 10, 15 years and I've gotten them stable and I'm controlling their diabetes and their hypertension, we know each other best, and sometimes they don't particularly get that same type of care when they go someplace else, especially if that physician or nurse practitioner that's taken over the care has not had a conversation with that other physician or even collected their medical records to find out why those medications are needed or why something was changed with their medication regimen. So sometimes there's a lack of communication. It's just about getting, I shouldn't say this, but I'm saying, getting numbers in the door. So it's quantity over quality.
Yeah, and we know insurance companies play a big role in that, right?
Yes.
very interesting. A lot to think about there, and a lot for us to take away as we plan at the Calumet Township Trustees ways to intervene, right? And to work with you to support residents of our township in all the areas that are barriers that you have acknowledged. Let me ask you this. So people have different opinions about different organizations, right? And people often will put the organization in a box. You hear the food bank and something comes to your mind, right? You get a mental image of what that is and who that's for and what they do. Same with Faith Farms, same with Community Health Net. What are the biggest misconceptions that people have about your organization and what you guys do? We'll start with you, Mr. Garcia.
Sure, thank you. So I think the biggest misconception is just even the term of what a food bank is, and I often like to let people know, because you hear the term food bank and food pantry used interchangeably, and they're very, very different things. So the easiest way to explain our core business, the vast majority of the work that we do at our food bank, is if you think of the local food pantry at the church, if you think of that as a grocery store, and if you think of a congregate meal site or a soup kitchen as a restaurant, we're the supplier. So our core business is to go get the food, to push out to our network of over 130 partner agencies to then support our community. So I think that's a big piece. And then again, as I started the conversation, we were talking about, well, what kind of foods do we have? What foods are we sourcing? What foods are we bringing out to our community? And what we've done is we've worked very hard to nudge folks to make better choices. And we use a system called HER, and it's a very simple system. So all of our partner agencies can see every product we have in our warehouse. 72,000 square foot warehouse in Maryville, just down the street. Every product in there is color coded. Green, yellow, red. Red, hey, maybe don't eat this that often. Yellow, eat it once in a while. Green, eat it all day long. So instead of forcing people to look at the nutritional guidelines of the product that we have available for them, make it real easy. Is this a green product? Is it a yellow product? You know what, red product? It's so-and-so's birthday, let's celebrate. It's okay to have the red product, right? But maybe don't make that your breakfast every morning, right? Like, look, I'm gonna put myself on blast here. Growing up, I had a Little Debbie brownie every morning. That was breakfast. That's what my mom provided me, and man, do I love those. I don't eat them anymore, but man, do I love those. Look, those little nudges might have shifted, right? Of maybe this is okay once in a while, but let's not make this a consistent thing, because there's going to be problems down the road.
Good points.
To Victor's point, Art's Bakery Apple Slice was my everyday, and a Coca-Cola after school, but we don't leave that alone. So I think that one of the biggest misconceptions is that we're only a farm, that that's the only thing we're doing. We actually work in food justice, economic justice, environmental justice, and health equity. So we have several different initiatives that we do at the farm. And then I think another misconception is we have unlimited funding, which we do not. Our CEO is an accountant and a pastor. So he's very strategic about where every penny goes. If I overfill those boxes and spend a little bit too much money, Sister Freedom, okay, yeah, but Pastor Curtis, they need the food in the box, so we just do it that way. You know, we're very strategic, and our staff, it's 6 of us that do all these programs, as well as the fresh frozen facility that we work with Victor on. So, and then another, I think that they think that we don't want to partner. No, please come partner with us. If you have something to add, I'm willing to listen. We're willing to listen. We're willing to do whatever we can to make things better for our community and get this food out and fight these injustices that we have in our community. So please, I contacted, Victor contacted us on that last one. We visited there first. Dr. Seabrook, I contacted Dr. Seabrook. We got this thing going. And if it hadn't been for Dr. Seabrook, I think the other physicians might not have listened, put me on that call with the other physicians. So please, we want to partner with people. We want to do everything we can to change some of the health disparities in our community, but fight food insecurity at the same time, because people are able to get food in their house.
Thank you.
I think the most common misperception of our organization is that we only take care of poor people or people without health insurance. We have 10% of our population is Medicare, and we have another 12% that are commercially insured. So I think that we want to dispel that. We have professionals, other doctors that come because they want our doctors at our locations to take care of them. We have lawyers. that are patients of our health center. So I think that that's the biggest misperception, that federally qualified health centers are only for people that are uninsured or below poverty, which is not true.
I'm going to ask you a question because you wear two hats. You're also the City of Gary Health Commissioner, and I'm sure some of us have seen on social media, Facebook, other news sources that the city has been taking a lot of actions in terms of, in terms of shutting down grocery stores, other facilities for not being in alignment with our health code and good health practices. But beyond even that particular issue, what do you think is a misconception that residents may have about the function of the City of Gary's public health apparatus?
So I think that people don't realize that at the health department, we do more than birth and death certificates. There's actual health care being provided for people, clients of the health department. You can get a TB test there. You can get your food handler's card. You can get confidential STD and HIV testing there, and also treatment. And so I think that people don't realize that there are other things that are going on at the health department outside of public health and safety. Like you said, with the grocery stores and other areas that were shut down for more than health reasons, a lot of those were building and structural issues that needed to be cleared up. Wiring, plumbing, not having sinks in places where employees need to have sinks. So there were a lot of things that were going on in those structures that had to be closed outside of healthcare. So we did it as a collaborative effort with the fire department, police officers, and building and safety inspectors.
And thank you all for doing that work. I think the majority of residents certainly appreciate the offensive and responsive approach that you all are taking. Can you say more, Ms. Frida, and bring in your co-panelists? I know some of the innovations that are happening at Faith Farms. You have a flash frozen freezer, which I went into a few months ago and saw the work that you're doing there. I know there's a plan to build a food hub in the Emerson community as well. Can you talk about those two projects as well as how you have partnered with your co-panelists to begin to bring those projects to life?
Yes. First, I need to announce, Victor brought this up. Faith Farms has been awarded a refrigerated truck, a 16-foot refrigerated truck and a refrigerated van. So that will make us better able to get things in different areas. Yes, our flash freezing facility was with Northwest Indiana Food Bank and Feed in America. It took us a couple of years because there was a lot of research that went into it, but I call it the Faith Farm Bird's Eye. That's the way I describe it to people. You're taking fresh vegetables from the farm and other local growers, you're washing them, and you're flash freezing them, and you're vacuum sealing them. 20% of everything that we grow and we do goes to the food bank once a month. That's right off the top. It goes to the food bank. That's part of our 20,000 pounds of food that was given. This is wonderful because now we're the only one within a 50-mile radius. We had Indiana University did a study on these kind of initiatives, and we're the only one within a 50-mile radius. This will make it so we'll be able to eventually sustain ourselves because, let's face it, we are on grants. You're not going to be able to sustain on grants the way things are going. We have to be able to sustain a farm, the flash freezing facility. So we're looking at, right now we're working with Hard Rock Casino. We're doing some work with them and a little bit of work with Methodist Hospital to be able to supply vegetables from Gary, Indiana, and they have the label, Gary, Indiana, grown in Gary, Indiana, to these different entities. What's the second part of your question?
Let's give that a hand.
What's the second part?
The food hub that you all are building.
Yeah, and we're also working on, we have some property we've owned, the church has owned for a long time, and we're working on a food hub. Within that food hub will not only be where you can come and purchase your fresh fruits and vegetables, and we won't have any Takis in there or anything in there, sorry. This is all value-added food. But also within there will be food and medicine offices will be in there. The fresh frozen offices will be in there. And with our youth, we have something we've been working on for maybe 4 years, recipes for a smoothie kids. They'll be doing a smoothie shop that we run by the youth with adult supervision, of course. And all the vegetables and everything that they use in the smoothie will come from local farmers. We'll have that in there as well, and then Chef Tim will have his area in there to do the culturally relevant, hard, healthy meals. And then some of those will not only go to the participants, they'll be for sale. as well, so we can sustain the area and continue to grow.
And you're also gonna have chicken.
Yes, we got our own chicken line. I forgot about that. Faith Farms has its own chicken line now. These are several things that we've been putting in. We've been talking about these for years, but yes, it's USDA certified chicken, organic.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. It's making all of us hungry, by the way, the more you talk about that. Let me ask each organization, and then we'll give a chance for audience questions, of course. What are ways that we can help you? So in this room, you have a variety of backgrounds, talents, relationships, knowledge, information, resources, and volunteer, right? We all can do our part. What are ways that we can help Community Health Net and the City of Gary Health Department, that we can help Faith Farms and the variety of activities that you all have going on, and that we can help the food bank as citizens? And the other part of that question is a two-part question. What are ways in which Calumet Township Trustee's Office, right, can partner with you, can work with you to more effectively deliver nutritious food and healthy living more generally to the people of Calumet Township? We'll start with you, Dr. Seabrook, and work our way.
Well, I think that one of the things that we could do is information sharing and education about the resources that are available, not only at the health department, but at Community Health Net. And I don't know if that entails, putting our outreach team from either the health department and from Community Health Net in contact with the media person at Calumet Township, or whoever is responsible for putting together the newsletter, so that information about events, activities, and things that are occurring, particularly at the health department, can be spread to the Calumet Township region.
Thank you.
I'm going to piggyback on what Dr. Seabrook said. Communication. Just if we can communicate to others the things that we're doing in the community to help and build our community up. Secondly, I said it's a petition floated. It really is a petition floated for us to make a state right. Sign that petition. Come to sign that petition so we can go down. If we go down state, we can go down and enforce. They're talking about cutting SNAP benefits. I just got the Post Tribune calling today about wanting to do a story about how this is going to affect people. There's things that we need to do together to be able to sustain our community. We can do it now because we used to the struggle, but we don't want people to be able to struggle so hard. We've been here before. Us seasoned people, I'll put it that way. Us seasoned people are used to the struggle. We know how to struggle, but we want to be able to work together to keep people with food and just warm and shelter and clothing and things like that. So come together, get it out, get the word out there. We love volunteers at Faith Farm. Anybody want to come out there and volunteer with those goats? They come on. Come on. We can always use volunteers. I said we're a small skeleton crew, and we're a skeleton crew. We do a lot with that little skeleton crew. Just get the communication out. In Calumet Township, we've been communicating a little bit with Calumet Township. If we can continue to be in partnership and get things like this out, that's a wonderful way to get things out because people pay attention when Calumet Township talks.
Well, thank you. That's good to know. Also, I wanted to add, and I'm putting you on the hot seat, I suppose, Ms. Frida, but for those, how many folks have been to Faith Farms before? So about a fourth of the room. How many folks would like to visit Faith Farms? All right, that's a lot of people. So I got about 20 plus people who want to visit. So what we will do, I'm saying this out of turn, is we have the emails of everyone who registered. And so I'm certainly willing to partner with you, Ms. Rita, to maybe set up a couple dates.
Absolutely.
And, we'll try to schedule it where residents of the township can come see what urban farming looks like. I know you've done sessions on how to grow.
Yeah, I love to teach now. I love to teach about the nutrients of the soil, pH level, all that kind of things. So
absolutely.
Now, I'm not the biggest animal person, but we do have Miss Fine. That's her thing. But I'll talk to you about vegetables all day.
That's great. So I tried myself this summer to make some tomatoes, but I had to battle with the deer. So between me and I think the deer ate more tomatoes than I did. But we can coordinate that, and that'll give folks an opportunity in an organized way to see what happens, but also to learn. I know a lot of folks are increasingly wanting to grow their own produce in their own backyard, right? To just get closer to nature. Which one of the things that when I visited the farm, and I've been there many times, Ms. Frida talks about how it was common growing up, and I grew up in the South, so it was very common for folks to have, everybody had a farm, right? In their backyard.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I just wanted to, before Ms. Tierra leaves, on November 25th, we're doing a Thanksgiving giveaway in Faith CDC in the city of Gary. We need volunteers for that day as well, if anybody would love to come at Real Cat Stadium.
Perfect, perfect.
Okay, I'm sorry, but
No, you're good. So we'll help organize that visit to Faith Farms, all right? Okay. And then, Mr. Garcia.
So, my colleague said something here. Miss Frida is just such a powerhouse, and I wasn't going to go this route, but I got the urge to preach a little bit, if that's okay.
That's all right.
preach. Preach.
We pride ourselves on being a resilient community. Aren't we tired of having to be resilient?
Yes.
Use your voice. That's how you can help. Your voice is powerful. Right now, if this government shutdown stays, there will not be SNAP benefits on November 1st.
Yes.
There will not be SNAP benefits. We're trying to figure out at the food bank how we're going to deal with an anticipated increase of people just needing help. Because, ladies and gentlemen, our friends and neighbors, our working families, our seniors, our children, they need help. I'm tired of being resilient. I don't want to be resilient anymore. I want to find a solution. So use your voice. We live in such an amazing community. People don't realize when we stay here in the region how well we all work together. Sometimes we focus on, oh, this little group over here and this little, you know what? All three of us have partnerships together. We know with the local food purchase program, statewide, there was no area in Indiana that did that program better than Northwest Indiana because we do work together. Because we're resilient, we're forced to learn that we are better together. So use your voice. Now, that was me preaching a little bit. I apologize. Everything is there. And that is the key, is you see your elected officials every day. Tell them what's important to you. Tell them what you're seeing. Tell them that you vote. You can talk all day long, right? But Lake County in particular, our election turnout numbers are atrocious. Yes. Go vote. That is how you use your voice. From a food bank's perspective, we have 34 employees. We see 6,000 to 7,000 volunteers in a given year. We can't do our work without volunteers. So please, 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 volunteer with us. Volunteer with your local pantry, soup kitchen, or any of the other organizations that are here today. We all need your help. From the trustees' standpoint, I love seeing this. This is fantastic. The trustees' office is in our agency network. They are getting some of their food from us. This is how the Township Trustees Office can continue to support us, by continuing to invest in programs like food distribution programs, because this isn't free. It does cost money, and the township does have a budget. They have to decide how to use that money in the most efficient way as possible, so continuing these programs are absolutely critical.
Excellent. So I think there was one request from Ms. Carolyn Seaton to get numbers. So before we leave, can you tell us the best way to get in contact with the Food Bank of Northwest Indiana and maybe down the line? Ms. Frida may not want to give her number out. It's not your personal number, hopefully, right?
The one
you have a number that you can give.
You text me on? Yeah, no, that's personal.
So
I have an office number.
Let's give the office numbers out. People want to take those down.
Food Bank is 219-931-8900.
Say that a little slower now.
219-931-8900.
Okay.
That is how you can get a hold of the food bank. But most everybody has a smartphone. And I want to make sure that I said it earlier that everybody hears this. The easiest way to get food help today, either find a local pantry through foodbanknwi.org or text the word market to 219-500-6464. We don't fundraise on that number. That number, every day, wherever our mobile distribution is going to be in Lake or Porter County, that's all you get. This is where it's going to be and what time it's going to be at. So if you need help today, a friend needs help, relative, I don't care. Someone you know needs some help today, there will be access somewhere.
Can you repeat that number, sir?
It's the word market at 219-500-6464.
Thank you.
The reason I say my personal cell phone, because for years that was what was on Faith Farms. And I get calls at 10 o'clock at night about green. So I'm just gonna give the office number today. It is 219-880-0850. It is at 201 East 5th Avenue. The farm itself is 656 Carolina Street. You can't miss it. As soon as you turn that corner, you're gonna see the goats, the houses and things that, and we welcome volunteers, and we're usually there from 9 to 1 most days.
To reach the health center, 219-880-1190. You can also go to our website, chn-indiana, spelled all the way out, .org, for a list of our services and our different locations. I wanted to just, if I could, ask people to please sign Ms. Frida's petition. And the reason why I say that is because your signature has value. I don't know if you all remember this, but a little thing called Lake County Convention Center in this little town called Gary is now going to have the Lake County Convention Center, and that was because of people signing the petition and advocating for Gary, for Lake County to have the convention center, and it be located in Gary. Also, we have a group, the Interfaith Action Network.
Stand up.
Interfaith Action Network.
Yeah.
They went downstate on behalf of Northwest Indiana, Gary in particular, to advocate for $1.5 million of ARPA money to be designated for crisis intervention in the city of Gary. They did that. They worked hard. This was over 5 years ago. Throughout the pandemic, everything, they were pressing. So guess what we have now? We have crisis intervention teams in the city of Gary because of the Interfaith Action Network. So thank you to them. So your signature has value.
How can we get the petition?
It's going to be online, also on our Facebook page, but there are several floating around. But if you look at the Faith CDC page, you will have information on how to get the petition and how to get it signed. And I just want to piggyback on something Vicar said. That program, that local food promotion assistance program, that was also cut. This is that they did. Well, they're not going to continue that as well. And that was 27 counties. We were able to get food from 27 counties and put it to distribute to different food banks. So all these things are being cut. So it's the time for us to let our voices be heard. I mean, I don't have a lot of money, but I'll run a bus and we can take it downstate and go down there.
Thank you. We're now going to have comments from the audience and questions. So I know, Robin Rich, I wanted you to speak because you worked very hard, and I know, I know that Trustee Atkins and I, for years, at least 2 years, we worked on the mobile mental health, and so I know that's a reality, but you don't have to limit your comments to that.
Thank you so much, William, for everything that you and Ty Atkins did to make that happen. I'm going to talk about something different, but it's related, and we got involved with it because of that project. Each one of you talked about the policy priorities that are such a disaster and so appalling, that are putting you in a position of us about to lose SNAP benefits and the local farm foods going to people. It's very upsetting to hear this, and I know that we all share a lot of anger. And I hate to bring up the next big crack in the safety net, which I know you're all very well aware of too, that everybody is about to see their insurance premiums rise tremendously in the next couple weeks. The government shutdown itself is happening because of what is happening to the ACA subsidies, which is going to be a disaster for everybody's insurance. And then we're about to see hundreds of thousands and then millions of people thrown off of Medicaid because of the insane policy decisions that are being made. I'm working with Interfaith Action Network, is working with SEIU, the Service Employees Union, and the disability rights group Everybody Counts, to build an army of people that are going to fight the Medicaid cuts and all of the things that are happening to people to lose their health care. 1 out of every 3 people in Lake County depend on Medicaid. And so you're going to start seeing folks at all of your locations, Dr. Seabrook is well aware of it, who are losing their health care or having restrictions on their health care. We are about to start trying to get contacts and stories for thousands of people. We're working with a statewide group so that when the time comes, we will be able to send those buses down to Indianapolis and beyond to fight that, because people are going to be coming for more food because they have to pay for their health care. It's all interrelated. So I just wanted to ask you if you would help us get surveys around and get the names and stories and contacts with people who are facing these cuts or whose family members are, or in the case of service employees, about to lose jobs at the hospitals and in home health care because of it.
Thank you, Robin. Respond. Any response to that?
Yeah, absolutely. The food bank is happy to support efforts. We do a significant amount of advocacy, and I want to share that from the SNAP perspective, and I know Dr. Seabrook can speak more to the Medicaid challenges in terms of funding. A lot of people don't really understand how SNAP funding works. So what has always happened at the federal level is the administrative costs of operating SNAP has been a 50-50 split in those costs, 50% federal, 50% state. All of the benefits are based on federal funding, okay? The big beautiful bill is changing that. That makes it 75% administrative cost state, 25% federal, and the amount of federal benefits are based on an error rate. The error rate is how many mistakes are made on someone getting SNAP. So the error rate is unique in that if, let's say, person X, we have 5% of people who got overpaid on SNAP, and maybe we got 2% that were underpaid on SNAP. Well, you would think that that means it's a 3% error rate. No, that's a 7% error rate, because all they care about is, was there an error? And that is going to have a significant impact on state budgets. But the reason I brought up that administrative cost is, let's just say SNAP stays flat. There's no change. That new money that has been shifted to run SNAP over to the State House hasn't planned for that budget. So there's already a shortfall. There's already a need for us to be advocating for, we need this program. Again, as a reminder, over 70% of Indiana residents, 600,000 people in Indiana get SNAP benefits. Vast majority are children, seniors, individuals with special needs. That is not who people think are getting SNAP, but that's the reality. Now, yes, the Medicaid challenges, I'm terrified. I don't know what we're going to do at the food bank, because people are going to have to choose between seeing their doctor and putting food on the table. That's not a great choice to be making, and I don't know, Dr. Seabrook, what you're planning on doing in response.
So, I can't tell you, this is something else that's keeping me awake, is, people who are in the middle of medical treatments, cancer therapies, other immunosuppressive medications that are terribly expensive, and them having, no longer having access to coverage. And there aren't many avenues for us to assist, particularly if someone's in the middle of chemotherapy or radiation. The specialists for the hospital may not be able to cover those under charity care, because we're talking now, possibly thousands, millions of people who are in the middle of treatment that may lose their coverage. So it's very challenging. And to be honest, I don't know how we're going to handle patients who have lost coverage, because it's going to be such a burden not only on our health center and the public health department, but all of the entities and nonprofits that assist patients that are covered by Medicaid. So it's going to have a terrible impact, a circular impact, so to speak, on all of those entities that are in service to people who are covered under Medicaid.
Thank you. Robin, can you tell us how to get in contact with you or the organization?
We got some flyers.
You got flyers here?
I'm gonna pass them out at lunch.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Another question, I saw a hand. Can you all come to the microphone? I think you, Melton, had your hand up. Young lady here as well. So if you have a question, go ahead and line up, and then we'll have them respond to all the questions.
Good morning. Ms. Graves, you said something about a petition I don't know what the petition is about. And my second question is, for those seniors who are not tech savvy or who do not have the internet, do you have other means for them to be able to access the petition?
Yes, we actually have physical petitions. It would be, we'll put out where we're gonna put them out at to be signed. The petition is actually to make the food as medicine a statewide legislative process, put it into some legislative bills. We've been talking to some local representatives, that way that some of the people are already covered. We're gonna go down there and advocate and see if we can get it in some bills that are going out, and that's what the petition is for.
Okay, will you have a physical?
We have some physical petitions.
With you?
That, in my bag, I might have some in my
Okay,
bag.
all right.
I'm not in my car today because my car is out
That's
on my
okay,
son's
that's
car.
all right.
But I might have some in my bag, but I'll actually put out on our website, on our Facebook page, Faith CDC, where they'll be located.
Okay,
In different
thank
areas
you.
they'll be located.
So I'd like to add, while we're waiting for that next question, that a special shout out to State Representative Andrade at House District 12. The last 2 years, he's put a bill up to support these efforts in an 1115 Medicaid waiver, which would make a food as medicine program sustainable. I talked to him just this weekend, and he is a champion in this fight to work alongside both the Food Bank and Faith CDC in this work.
Good morning or good afternoon, I'm not sure what time it is. But my question is for all three panelists. Are there any partnerships and or educating opportunities or healthy initiatives that have been formed with or offered to the public and charter schools of the city?
I can answer that. We were on a grant for the schools, Williams School in particular, where we're gonna go out there and we're gonna start teaching the youth how to grow inside the schools and use the fresh fruits and vegetables in their cafeteria, but that was one of the grants that got cut. But we do go out. Williams School came out to the farm last year. They brought 200 youth, bus after bus after bus. So we do have schools that come out there all the time to learn about growing and what initiatives are done as far as food as medicine, Faith Farms, and fresh frozen.
Okay, just to follow up, so I guess my question is more so tailored to the cafeteria, the cooks, the food that they are producing and serving our children. Are there any initiatives or are there any minor focuses that are going to be basically implemented inside of our schools, as far as what the kids are eating, the nutrition values, the options? I am a resident of Gary. I've been here all my life. And from elementary school at Chase, middle school at Edison, Horseman for high school, milk, only beverage. So every now and then we would see maybe a juice. But like, there are no water options, there are like no flavored, those type of options. Are there any type of programs or initiatives that are going to help tailor the new, the meals for the children in the school?
Not from our perspective, but it sounds like a wonderful idea.
Yeah, and I can add, so one of the programs that Faith Farms was very involved in was the local farm to school program. That funding was cut, so that's kind of similar to what you're talking about. If I can put my school town of Highland hat on, just to kind of put some inside baseball, like look, the budgets are the budgets. The state continues to make it a challenging environment if you don't have a referendum in your community to fund programming. And food is part of programming. So at the end of the day, your local school has got to make some very difficult decisions on what they can afford to provide to students. So I would encourage you to talk to that school district. With the charter schools, they all have their own board, so working with their board on how they choose to use their budgets. I can tell you from Gary Public Schools, I know that there's some very difficult decisions that they have to make on how they're going to use their money. And every public school is seeing that across the state. So it's not an easy answer. The answer is, would we like to? Absolutely. I think everybody up here would love to see more nutritious foods in our school districts. It's a matter of money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My question was actually along, I just didn't want to sit down because my question was along the same lines of what does it look like to bring these type of conversations and resources to our schools to our students. I think earlier the talk was, increasing home ownership and showing the value of what's in Gary. The more I listen to these conversations, I'm newer to Gary, but I'm hearing that there is so much value in what we all have to offer here in Gary. What does it look like for, school partnerships to say, let's open our doors and bring some of these conversations into the schools so that we can educate our parents, we can educate our students. I've been hosting mobile markets through the food bank at my school location since 2022. And I think we hosted one last week at one of our locations in East Chicago, and the line was wrapped around the block. It's scary that the need is that great. So what does it look like for us to continue opening our doors and providing spaces for conversations like these to happen, to further educate our families, our parents, and our students? And thank you, trustee, for you all helping us with even uniform vouchers and seeing kids that parents can only afford one uniform shirt. So there's so many needs. What does it look like to continue to partner with schools and things so that we can get this access to these information to our families?
Thank you.
I just want to put a little, we are open to doing that. I mean, we've been working with schools for a long time. Steel City Academy used to come out to the farm 6 weeks at a time. Thea Bowman came out to the farm 6 weeks at a time. I'm open to going and doing these kind of things. I'm not worried about payment. I'd love to go into the schools and teach them something about growing their own food so they can have healthier food on their campus. So we're open to that, but there are certain regulations and things that you have to follow, like Victor says, from the state perspective.
Also, just want to add, this is an exciting time for the city of Gary.
Yes, it
Dr.
is.
Seabrook mentioned the convention center. That's a game changer.
Yes, it is.
Now is the time to start having the conversations on how the city can transform. And this is exciting that we have venues like this, that so many of you took time out of your day to be here to talk with all of us. This is, I get fired up about this. And also, thank you for the continued partnership. I see your organization on our schedule, I think, almost every month. So.
That's excellent. I think that's another deliverable readout that we may be able to at least convene conversations between the school district and the charter schools and organizations like Faith Farms in providing that information, because at the end of the day, our goal is prevention, right? So we want there to be less problems, there to be less need, less food insecurity, and so the earlier we start building in those relationships into the systems, which you talked about earlier, Mr. Garcia, the better results that we will see when people become adults, right? We'll take, I think, Ms. Caroline Seaton and Mr. Thomas, if you could ask your questions, and then we'll respond, and then we will have to transition to our next part of the program. But this conversation is so rich, which is why I always put a little cushion in the program for us to be able to continue some of these dialogues.
I agree. That's why I came to listen, and now I feel like I'm contributing. Thank you for the information. My question to the panel, particularly to you, Mr. Garcia, and some questions some things you brought up. It sounds like the food is there, and the money is changing or not there. That sounds like a distribution issue ready to happen. What's going to happen to all this food? I know you're working on contingencies right now. I just feel like I heard a gap in, it's not that we don't have the means, we don't have the money to distribute it. I think Ms. Frida may have mentioned something along that line too. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and the impact, and maybe, I don't have any solutions, but I would love to hear what you think.
So from a food bank perspective, on what we're experiencing right now, I guess is where I think I'm hearing the question, is the federal shutdown is impacting the Emergency Food Assistance Program and the Commodity Supplemental Food Program. So let me briefly explain what those are. TFAP, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, is for Indiana residents at 185% of poverty level or below. CSFP, Commodity Supplemental Food Program, is for seniors at 130% of poverty level or below. Those are two of our largest programs that we operate out of our food bank. We have enough food in the warehouse to keep those programs going through the end of the year. What we don't know is there can't be new orders made when the government is shut down. So while we have enough food in the warehouse today, with the changes, if SNAP does get shut down even for 2 weeks, That's going to create more demand for the emergency food assistance program, which means I won't have enough food to get me through the year. So there's a lot of uncertainty. I will also respond to the question of if that there's enough food. There's enough food in the country. There's not enough food at the food banks. There's not enough food at the food pantries. There's not enough distribution sites. Part of our strategic plan is to build more food pantries in partnership with healthcare providers and with K-12 institutions. Because we know that most of our food pantries being in houses of worship are run by volunteers. Most of those volunteers are of retirement age. And as those folks age out of volunteerism, what happens to the network? What doesn't go away? Schools and healthcare, and that's where you're going anyway. So let's make sure that we have more pantries at those agencies so that we continue to have those distribution models. I will also add that our food bank is one of the first in the country to successfully launch automated refrigerated smart lockers like an Amazon locker. So we have one at Edgewater Health. We're about to put one likely at the Tolleson Center at the Boys and Girls Club in the Wise building. And the idea is to provide 24-hour, 7-day access to food supports for our working family members who, like, honestly, our pantries and our mobile distributions are likely during the day. Well, you're at work. How do you get that extra help that you might need when you have to be at work? So those lockers are another solution for us. I'm not sure if that completely answers your question, but I hope that gave some light.
Thank you.
Victor, you spoke on something that is real close to my heart. That's advocacy and making sure that people vote. Anybody who knows me know wherever I am, there's some voter registration forms. But what's really important was when I was asking about numbers, the United States Senate number, so everyone can call to say that they want their SNAP and they want to continue with whatever, is 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. Call a lot of times. Tell everybody you know to call. It's important because every time you call, they have to write it down. They have to give it to the senators. They have to, then that's saying what you want them to say. For the Indiana Senate, it is 317-232-9400. 317-232-9400. It is because when you call them and you say, I need more money for the food bank, you're telling them what you want. Frida is right. We need to go down. When they have community meetings, if you're there, and when you go, and the only time you can talk to the state representatives, to the state senators, is at the community meetings. When you go down there on Frida's bus, you can tell them what you like, what you don't like, and they see you. When they see a person, it means something. When William is asking, what can the township do? The township, this is a wonderful place because you have community people coming in every day. This is where, and once before I actually worked with the township, had people come in signing petitions, and that was how we kept the, and it was with the Urban League and the township, and we actually worked so that the utility rates went down because we signed petitions and turned them in. All you have to do is advocate.
Thank you so much, and Anna,
Can I just piggyback that number? The 317 number is also good for calling in and saying that you're against the redistricting.
Yes.
Can I piggyback on that? So what we're hearing at the food bank is if the state's going to attempt to redistrict, there doesn't seem to be an appetite on the Senate level for that. And there's rumors that fixing Senate Bill 1, which is impacting your local schools, your local government, the county government, is the guise of opening up the conversation for redistricting. So if you start to hear those things, and that is an important thing to you, again, the food bank is never going to tell you how to advocate, what to advocate for, or how to vote. But if that is something that's important to you, I would encourage you to keep your eye on your local media And please use that number to share what your thoughts would be.
Wow, let's give this panel a hand. Very, very rich. I did want to note that part of it in our brochures about our services, we do have food vouchers that are offered to households who are not receiving SNAP benefits. Emergency assistance may be considered on a case-by-case basis. We do have the documentation that is required for those resources. Also, medical assistance. That's an area that we're working with our case management team and our leadership team to beef up. And it sounds like it's high time to beef that up. But we have the authority, right, to provide eligible applicants with support for doctor visits, prescriptions, diagnostics, dental, and vision services. So we're going to be beefing up with the trustees' blessing those areas so that we are prepared to partner with pharmacies, with doctor's offices, and that's a key part of that, having those partnerships in place. So Dr. Seabrook, we'll probably be talking to you, Community Health Net, to see how we can design a system and revise the current systems that we have to be responsive to the current need, all right? What I want to do is, before you all leave down, I want to highlight a program that's based on a commitment that the trustee made last May. You've heard it referenced a few times. It's a platform called Charity Tracker that is run by the United Way of Northwest Indiana. When the trustee took office in late January, one of the first things we did was to schedule a meeting with Congressman Frank Mervan. And so the trustee convened that meeting, and part of the idea, remember Congressman Mervan was prior North Township trustee Mervan for several years, and so he said, are you all using Charity Tracker? And we said, what is Charity Tracker? And so we got to work. We had at our last symposium a signing ceremony where we agreed to implement Charity Tracker, which puts us on a platform of over 100 other social service agencies and nonprofits, so that we are all on the same system. If you go to, if you're in Porter County getting services, if you're at the food bank receiving services, we will know it. And so over the summer, we did trainings with our staff. And as of early September, we have now put in about 170 new, unique individuals into the Charity Tracker system, so that when folks might need a particular resource that we can't provide, we can reach out to another community partner and vice versa. So we made that commitment, we did the work, and we're already seeing the results of it in our office. And that's another example. We don't just have these meetings to talk and to look good and to take pictures, but to actually hear what you're telling us, hear what the community is saying, and then to do the right steps in terms of taking the right action that will ultimately benefit the residents of our township. I thank our trustee, right? Because that was a change in our office, as well as our case management team, who has to enter now that new information in addition to the systems that we already use to input client data. So Ms. Backus and her team are instrumental in our being able to now be part of a system that is 10 years old within our area. So we're there. Well, it's time to eat. We've been talking about food. So I'm going to invite all of you to go downstairs where we will have the remainder of our program. We're going to have a very interesting lunch and luncheon conversation with Professor Harris and Mr. Harris. I don't think there's any relation, from IUN, to talk about the role of social workers in our social safety net. So please go downstairs and prepare to have lunch. I'm going to ask the trustee to come up, and we'll take a photo with our panel.